The Senate has finally done it. They passed Donald Trump's big, beautiful bill. And given the name, it's got a lot of moving parts, and I'm sure there are many aspects of it that will help the American people. But what this bill does to the debt ceiling sets a precedent for the future of the American economy and the survival of its citizens' finances. We're not going to get political in this video, but this is a pretty big deal, so without further ado, let's take a look at what this new debt ceiling increase means for the American dollar if passed into law. Let's get into it. If you enjoyed this video, please like and subscribe as we push hard for 4,000 subs. Like I said earlier, we're not going to get political, we're just going to look at the numbers. Currently, the United States is $37 trillion in debt. We currently pay $1 trillion in interest just to service that debt. And whether or not this big beautiful bill will help the country or not, one thing is undeniable. The addition of $5 trillion to the debt ceiling is going to affect us all. Regardless of where you live, how much money you make, and whatever political affiliation you happen to have, we all have to rely on the American dollar for transactions in our day-to-day lives. And adding $5 trillion to the debt ceiling is something that everybody should be aware of. It's the biggest debt ceiling increase in history. It may seem like a pipe dream, but many of us were hoping for cost reductions, a slowing of the growth of America's debt, and an overall brighter disposition towards the fiat dollar. But these increases are the opposite of that. The American people work hard, they pay taxes. We are the ones that are responsible for keeping this giant machine running, and we dedicate our lives to it. And in exchange, we get fiat dollars after they are taxed, and those fiat dollars we use to feed our families and get by month to month. But unfortunately, these fiat dollars are susceptible to inflation. And unfortunately, our current administration has successfully pushed a bill that only makes the dollars we use to survive weaker and weaker. And this isn't a issue with any specific political party. It doesn't matter who we get in office. Democrats, Republicans, they all take part and participate in increasing spending and raising the debt ceiling more and more. They abuse the dollar and they enjoy doing it. The can continues to be kicked down the road and the buck continues to be passed. All the while, everyday American citizens suffer more and more, paying higher grocery bills, higher utility bills, and they watch their hourly and yearly earnings lose strength more and more, almost on a daily basis. And I think the government knows exactly what they're doing. I think they have every intention of killing the American dollar so that they can force a currency reset. A digital dollar has all of their interests at heart. It's entirely controlled. There is no privacy, and you can't hold it in your hand. It gives ultimate power to the state and ultimate power to the government as a whole. This is why tangible assets are so important. The saying, if you don't hold it, you don't own it, has been around for a long time, and it's ringing truer and truer as time goes on. These paper dollars here are simply a promise by the government to represent a certain amount of value, but on the flip side of that coin, the government is actively killing the value inside of these promissory notes. It's interesting how the powers at play here, the ones who pull the strings, campaign and tell us all about how they're going to make things better, things are going to get cheaper, we're going to cut spending and slow the growth of debt, and then they turn around and do the opposite. They claim that they care about the people, but then they don't offer any type of advice as to how to get by each and every time the bills show up in the mail. There isn't any government entity actively teaching and showing people how to preserve their wealth and grow it, so it really makes you wonder, what are their interests? And I am of the opinion that they have every interest in making the people as broke as possible, hoarding all of the wealth and the assets. That way they can attain ultimate control over the masses. I usually don't do doom and gloom videos, but seeing the news of the biggest debt ceiling increase in history does make me a bit worried. Once again, this is why tangible assets are so so important. Governments are buying up metals like crazy. Silver is used in all different types of industries, and that use is only accelerating over time. And gold is the ultimate store of value, the ultimate representation of value outside of any fiat system. They're hoarding it, and they're 100% okay with not telling any of us anything about it. The middle class is disappearing, and 99% of the American people are being forced into the lower economic class. And I'm not here to say that this is all Donald Trump's fault. This is all our current administration's fault. This has been going on for decades and decades and decades. It was a genius plan, and they knew exactly what they were doing. But above all else, things like tangible assets, land, real estate, precious metals are undeniable. A 1 ounce gold coin will always be a 1 ounce gold coin, and there will always be less and less of it in the earth, and it will always be the purest representation of transactional value. It doesn't matter where the Dow Jones is, it doesn't matter what the current interest rates are. Whenever it rains down onto God's green earth, plants grow, trees gather shade, and the earth keeps on turning. One thing we're certainly not getting any more of is land, and everyone will always need a home to live in. I used to be big into crypto, and I used to be big into stocks, and while I do still enjoy investing in stocks from time to time and appreciating the growth, as time goes on and as I see how the world credit system is evolving and how systems are beginning to shake to their core, the more and more I become a tangible asset investor. Here recently, gold has had a bit of a dip, and I'm fairly certain that's going to change. I think it's going to continue its bull run aggressively the way we saw in 2024 and the beginning of 2025, simply because the systems that we rely on are being destroyed by the people who write the laws. This is a very complex topic. I'm sure there's a lot of parts of this bill that will help America and we'll see some positive change from, but ultimately the underlying theme under all of this is the addition of $5 trillion to the debt ceiling isn't a subjective matter. It's more debt stacked on top of the current debt that we already can't afford. We can't even afford the interest on it. But let me know what you guys think about all of this down in the comments below. I hope you guys are doing well. Keep stacking. That's the way out, in my opinion. Silver, gold, land, real estate, that is the way to escape this failing system and survive the troubled times as it's crashing. Stay safe out there, everybody. Keep stacking. Peace.